She unconsciously hid the majority of her face underneath a blanket, while the rest was engulfed in her hair. I watch her toss and turn cutely as I finally sat down a few feet away. The infantile behavior in her movements was all too obvious. With every couple of tosses, she would return her thumb to her mouth or give a light kick to her blanket. Her eyes were still closed as I carefully moved back some of the hair from her face, revealing a set of rosy cheeks glossed in drool. With the thumb in her mouth, it allowed a great deal of saliva leak out, making a big mess on her pillow and blanket. Her diaper bag was fortunately right next to her bed, and I quietly pulled out the pacifier I had discovered that day. With a small tug, Lee's thumb came out of her mouth and was quickly replaced by the pacifier. Almost immediately, she reacted to it and suckled on the nipple rhythmically. "Wow, Amber was right. You are too cute with that thing in your mouth," I whispered to the sleeping girl. "Ha, told YA so," a familiar voice replied. "Well, look who finally shows up," I retorted quietly to Amber, who was carefully making her way to the bed as well. "I guess you can consider yourself practically a full-blown parent now," she said with a smile. Her hand softly brushed Lee's pink cheeks as she turned to look at me. "She sure makes things interesting around here," Amber added softly. Apparently the commotion that we both were causing awoke Lee from her sleep. A small fussing ensued, but only lasted a moment. She slowly opened her eyes to see Amber and me staring back at her. She reached her hands out, to which I guessed meant she wanted to be picked up. I gently took a hold of Lee's body and cradled it in my arms. My actions seemed to work as a sleepy smile grew behind the pacifier still resting comfortably in her mouth. Soon both Amber and I picked up on the odor that seeped from Lee's bottom. "Oh, looks like someone needs a new diaper," Amber told Lee in a babyish voice. The little girl erupted in giggles as she was slowly scooped out of my arms and tickled mercilessly. Amber walked over to the changing station and began to undo the wet and messy diaper. During the few minutes that the diaper change took, I noticed that there wasn't any indication of where Lee's possessions were, other than the diaper bag. No drawer or box specifying clothes or toys were anywhere to be found. Amber came pacing right back to the bunk with Lee in her arms as I continued to wonder this. "Hey, just curious, where are Lee's things anyway? I actually haven't seen anything that specifically belongs to her," I asked curiously. "Oh, it's in a separate room. Since she's going to be leaving with you in a couple of days, everyone has already packed up her things in boxes. I personally thought they were preparing a little too early, but it doesn't really make much difference where her things are. I don't mind walking a few extra feet to get a toy for her," Amber explained with a content smile. I couldn't help but release a small laugh as she said this. "What's so funny, mister?" "So, no, it's nothing. I'm just glad. I can really see how much you care for her, Amber," I replied, smiling back. She did not respond to my comment, but merely smiled as well, along with a slight biting of her lower lip.